What's up, loser?
What's up, Danny Dan?
Not much. How's it going?
Pretty good. Went to Drunken Dragon the other night. It was pretty great,
Oh,
Dan.
yeah?
Yeah, it was
I love
so
that
good.
restaurant.
What?
I love that restaurant. I love me some Drunken Dragon.
Yeah,
What did you think, though?
it was okay.
There's no Outback Steakhouse.
True. Actually true, Dan. Actually true.
Your takes with food are just so bad. It's like, McDonald's. Would I have rather saved $100 and had a quarter pounder with cheese? I think yes. I think yes.
I will bet you, and I will actually fight on that argument to the death, that like any chain restaurant is superior when you're looking at price compared to 95% of the restaurants in Miami. I'm sorry. The shit here is so fucking expensive. It's unbelievable. For the quality of fucking food you get, like, no. It seems like the best thing you can do is like you have to get really lucky and find like high quality restaurants that just happen to exist in like random fuck parts of the world. Like there's this Indian restaurant that's in Omaha that I swear to God is like the best fucking Indian restaurant I've ever been to. And I've been to a lot of them around the world at this point. But like, I don't know. There's just so many restaurants here that it's like, oh, cool, it's $70, $80 per person. And it's like, okay, food.
Do you know where is really cheap right now, surprisingly, is Paris. So when I was there, I guess like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, something like that, whatever, maybe more recently, I don't remember. But I feel like meals that you would pay like $100 to $200 for here were like $50. It was unbelievable. I don't know why, but yeah, it is. It is what it is. That's the fact. I was in Paris. I don't know why people keep saying, Dan, were you in Paris? Yes, I was.
Do you have your shoes on in Paris?
Yeah, I did.
Good job.
What was there? Oh, today, one of my DGG friends, Nabito, sent me a tweet by that girl that you talked to before. Aya girl? Is that how you pronounce it? Like the chick with the most upvoted OnlyFans? Gone Wild post. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, what about her?
So she had a post, and it said something like, is it morally wrong if your dog dies and then you fuck it, assuming you won't catch disease? And apparently got a lot of comments and things like that. And I was thinking on this. So my thought is, if there's a non-zero chance that when you die you become a ghost, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's certainly non-zero. I mean, we don't know, right? Then wouldn't it by nature be a statistics game of because then if you assume if you're a ghost, you're going to see that your old owner is fucking you, right? You're not going to be happy. You're going to be displeased with that. So doesn't that mean that this argument, is it, morally neutral, or is it, good or bad? Doesn't it just literally come down to the odds of something you can't know, which is, do you come back and observe the universe as a ghost?
I don't make moral decisions based on the non-zero chance that I come back as a ghost. I don't know what.
Oh, well, okay. So another no. Well, hey, you're being funny right now, but that's not fair.
That's not fair.
I would say, is it morally neutral to buy an iPhone if you know that there's some slaves that are making it for you in China?
Maybe you get into complicated areas of ethics there, but like how many levels removed do you need to be to support something, or Marxists would say there's like no ethical consumption ever under capitalism. Is that true? Like, I don't know.
Well, okay. Let me try and take it back more. Let's say that like I'm a slave, and you know that for sure, okay, 100%, and then my master wants to sell you something that I made, and you knew that I made it and that I was a slave. Would that be morally neutral for you to do that? To buy that product?
I don't know.
You're such a fucking
Hold on, I'm
weasel.
thinking about it. It's a hard question, you fucking moron, okay?
Yeah, that's right.
If you're not engaging in the poor behavior, like one-to-one, but it's been outsourced to somebody else, is it as immoral, or do you need to avoid that? That's a very difficult question, right? This is like the question of sweatshops. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I can fucking solve these types of ethics for you in like 2 thoughts of a question, okay? If you want Vosh to do it for you, maybe you can pretend to, but it's a very, very complicated question. I don't know, right? Yeah. If I order something from a sweatshop across the world, that seems to not be the same thing as if I had a kid that was enslaved in the room next to me, like making things for me, right? Those seem to be different things, right?
I'm
not saying it is different. I'm just saying it seems to be different. If you're being good faith, you say, of course, it seems to be different. Of course,
it seems
different. It seems
to
be different. Is it ethically different, fundamentally? I don't know. I'm not sure. That's a really difficult question. I don't know. It feels like when you diffuse responsibility across other mediums, it seems like the accountability you have changes for a variety of reasons. Like one might be, we could get into the boring responses are saying things like, well, actually, these kids are better off being able to work in these shops because if it wasn't that, they'd be off like farming and like hating their life. So in that case, oh, well, cool. Now it looks like we've kind of justified.
Is ignorance an excuse for immoral actions?
Depends on how ignorant you are. So like, for instance, let's say that you have the option between 3 different shirts. One is $20, the other 2 are 15, and the $20 one says sweatshop free, so you buy that. But then you find out later that they were lying, right? That ignorance is going to be a lot different than somebody that just goes to a store, buys things, and never questions it.
So was that action of buying whatever, let's say the murder shirt. Let's say you didn't know. You thought you were doing the opposite, but you fucked up and you got it anyways. So did you commit a harm doing that? Was that morally neutral, or did you, in your eyes, did you do a moral harm in supporting that?
I just don't think I can. I don't know if I can answer it. It's hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
Yeah, like let's say somebody's working in conditions that you would consider to be immoral. So you say, I'm not going to support that at all anymore.
Yeah.
But then let's say then that you find out that now all of those kids are no longer working at the sweatshop and now they're all out subsistence farming until they die at 35. Like, was that the more moral thing to do? Can you justify some kind of immoral action if the people that are engaged
that's also only with the things that you know, right, to be true. Like, that they were sweatshop workers and now they're farmers. But there's other things that you don't know. Can we be, if an action causes something that you could never know and that you won't know but was negative, is the action morally neutral or not?
Yeah, I don't know. What if a poor woman is like, I'm poor and the only way that I can survive is through prostitution, and then you like buy sexual services from her? Is that immoral? Like, I think most people would like very instantaneously go, yeah, of course that's immoral. Then it's like, okay, well, let's say like in another world, you see that woman and you're like, no, I'm not buying any services from you. I think it's immoral to do so. And she's like, oh, okay. And then she starves to death because she can't prostitute herself. Like, is that better? Like, I don't know if that's, yeah.
There's even more, I was thinking there's like even more obtuse things that you could do as well. Like almost like butterfly effect type things. Like, if you step on this crack, unironically, someone dies as a result of that. And it's kind of a one-time thing, but you did it. You didn't know that you caused that, but as a result of your action, if you didn't step on that, someone else wouldn't have died. Was that moral? You did not. So you
say that one more time. Sorry, say that.
So, like, you stepped on a rock, and that has a butterfly effect of killing a baby or a person or something like that. A reasonable person couldn't expect that doing that would have that effect, but it did.
Sure.
It definitively did. Is that much different than buying a shirt and not knowing that was literally made by like a Haitian gang? That's like,
I mean, that's going to come down to like how familiar are you with the world, right? If it's like an 11-year-old buying a shirt and they don't know fuck all, then maybe. But I feel like if you're 20s or 30s, you've probably been exposed to the ideas of sweatshops. But
so is ignorance an excuse for moral harms?
It seems like a little bit, yeah. Intuitively, it feels that way. I think a really good example of this is, do you know how a lot of people become vegan?
How a lot of people become vegan?
Yeah.
They go and they go to the slaughterhouses.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And they see it. And now they're like, holy shit. Now that I've seen this, now that I'm like endowed with this new knowledge, this actually feels really fucked up. Like, I'm vegan now, right? So it does seem to be the case that when people become more acquainted with whatever harm they might even be indirectly leading to, that they feel more moral responsibility for that particular harm. And now they feel like a greater responsibility or call to avoid it.
So is the point that we're making here that moral harm on itself is completely fluid based on the person that you're talking to and their knowledge of the particular subject that you have?
Yes, of course. That's always going to be the case, right?
So so you could never say something that, what's an action that will always be morally good? And could you, I'm trying to think of this way, like you would say like, what's a good example of this? Like, just give me like a plain Jane, like morally good thing. Saving someone from drowning, I guess?
I mean, there could be anything, like feeding your baby formula. Maybe you think that's a really good idea, and then later it comes out that the baby formula manufacturer was putting bad chemicals in their formula, now your baby dies, or it's like deformed.
Right. So I guess what I'm saying is if there's a chance, as there always is, I think with like, I don't want to say chaos theory, but like there's always a chance of like some crazy shit happening, right? Like there's a chance, like as a joke, as a meme here, there's a chance I'm your father. It's incredibly fucking unlikely, obvious, right?
No,
I
no, no.
don't
I
have
think
to.
I think there's fundamentally different things because some things are intrinsically going to have like baked in negative, inescapable aspects of the action itself, and other things that arise where the negativity arises through chance is going to be fundamentally different. So, like for instance, let's say that I'm walking along a cliffside, and I say, by walking along this cliffside, I might loosen a rock, and in the future, somebody's going to trip on it and then slide down the mountain and die.
Sure, I think that's a great
Yeah.
example.
And then let's
Like
say
playing
somebody
Russian.
else, yeah, and then let's say somebody else has like a pistol and they go and find somebody they hate and they aim it at them. And they're like, well, my friend yesterday was walking on a mountain and he did actions that through no intrinsic fault of his own might in the future kill somebody. I'm going to shoot and murder you now because I think that's the same thing. I don't think that's the same thing. I think those are different types of actions.
So is playing Russian roulette against someone, how different is the moral wrong if there's six cylinders or like an infinite amount of cylinders?
Well, it's a bad example because usually when people are playing Russian roulette, they're all consenting to the rules of the game, right?
Okay, so let's say someone's not consenting. I'm pointing the gun at you, and so what's the
Yeah, the difference is like you're taking an action right there that is literally, there's no benefit. You're just doing it to cause harm to another person. I think that's fundamentally different than just walking along like a road or whatever.
okay, so let's say that let's say there's a food I'm eating, and for whatever reason, there's 1 in a billion trillion chance that by me eating this, you die. I don't know how that would work. It's like some sort of reverse blowfish, like the poison or thing like that. But it's never happened. You know what I mean? It's like all theoretical that it could. Is the act of me eating that morally wrong? Like, there's so little chance of this happening. It's like a grain of sand.
When you're
on
talking about
infinite
like
beach.
1 in a billion, then we're getting into
No,
that.
beyond. Well, no. I mean, I think this is a fair thing to really say. Like, we would both agree that, like, if I pointed a revolver at you and had 5 chambers empty and one full, and I pulled the trigger, you would be like, "That is 100% morally not cool."
Yeah, but even if
right?
you pointed a revolver at me and you pulled the trigger and there were a billion cylinders, that's still different than eating food that has a 1 in a billion chance of randomly killing somebody, right? Because like in the act of eating food, like the intention is not to
what
just,
about? But again, what about if you knew that eating this particular food had that?
if you had knowledge of it, then it gets a little bit different, sure.
But you do have knowledge of doing things that walking on a cliff that you could loosen a rock and do it. So is anyone who
Yeah, but it's kind of
walks,
like it's a little bit unavoidable, and you assume that the other people that are in those areas are somewhat consenting to that being possible. Now, if you were walking along an area and you were intentionally kicking rocks loose, then I think it's a fundamentally different type of action. But if you're just like walking along a path and you might kick a rock loose or something, and maybe somebody in the future trips like that, I think they all kind of implicitly consent to like somewhat hazardous conditions by walking along that area. But if you're like throwing coins off a rooftop and you randomly hit somebody, that's different because now you're just doing an action that like nobody walks around a city expecting
what
to get
about
hit.
being on a rooftop and having coins in your pocket, not throwing them out, but knowing that there's a chance that there's a strong wind that could like loosen them out of your pocket?
I mean, as long as you're taking what we would all consider to be reasonable precautions, that's going to vary based on the
But
situation.
you still put yourself up there, right?
But
I think
it's got to be. It's got. You're. I think the magnitude here is important. Like a 1 in a billion action is a lot different than like a 1 in 50 action. Like
I posit to you that this is all a numbers game. Like all of it is a number game.
I'm agreeing. You're saying it's not a numbers game. You're saying that like period.
Well,
It doesn't matter. You're saying
yeah.
the numbers don't actually matter. That it's just like
I guess I'm saying that I think any action whatsoever, I don't think there is such a thing as actually true moral good. From my high school education, it feels like everything is just how, what level of good is it? But there is no like pure morally good thing to do. There's only things because there's always a chance that something bad could happen as a result, if that makes sense,
I mean,
right?
like that's kind of, but I mean, like on a very very ultra strict consequentialist sense, you're right. But like we would look at the intention of a lot of actions to determine how we would feel about them if we think that these are like morally good actions or not. Again, there's a huge difference between like walking around the top of a building and a coin happens to fall out of a hole in your pocket that you didn't see and land on somebody and kill them, versus a guy that's just like flipping a quarter on top of a roof. And oops, I dropped it, and somebody dies. Like these are, I think we would treat these as very different.
That one kill anyone, by the way.
That's great. I didn't watch that MythBusters episode, so.
No, okay. I mean, but it's just like logic, right? Come on.
How is it just logic? What do you mean it's just logic?
Well, it's a fucking quarter. You know how fucking fast the thing would have to like,
I don't. Have you done the math?
Pierce your skull.
I don't know how fast. I don't know what the
I don't
terminal.
think-
What is the
I don't
terminal
think a-
velocity of a quarter? And tell me how fast you have to go to kill you, Dan.
It's like 600 miles an hour, I think. No, it's less than that because that's like the speed of sound. No, I don't fucking know. It's like 600 miles an hour. But I don't even think a ball bearing. If you dropped a ball bearing off the top of the Empire State Building,
It's like 30. It's like 30 miles per hour.
what's 30 miles per hour?
A quarter's terminal velocity.
Oh, I meant just in gravity in general, like the fastest you could get to.
Wait, well, hold on. No, the fastest you can get to is going to be theoretically unlimited, right?
Like if you dropped a ball bearing, like out, like at the, 30,000
Well, theoretically,
feet or something?
fast is going to be in a vacuum, but then
Oh,
terminal
no,
velocity
I
is
mean
going to have to.
in reality.
Oh,
Sorry. Like,
yeah,
if
I
you
don't know.
dropped a-
Well, I'm just saying that you made it sound so obvious that a quarter would never kill you, and I don't know if that's the case. I just don't know. I wouldn't volunteer to stand under one and find out.
I would.
Yeah, would you?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
I'm based like that. So yeah, that was it. I guess I was just, thinking.
Yeah.
Rem, since you're here, I've been thinking a lot of, I don't know, I think this is,
Subscribing
your
to Destiny
neck of the
is
woods.
the
I've been
only
thinking a lot of,
100% morally good action Giga Chad.
stoicism. Stoicism? I'm not sure how you say it, like kind of Marcus Aurelius and things like that. And I wanted to kind of, that stuff's actually pretty interesting to me. That part in particular, which is the idea of, God, it's kind of difficult to say, but like just kind of being self-reliant and not doing things that do things and everything else. I don't know. Apparently, there's like a really good book to read on that, but I forgot where it was.
I've read a bit of Stoicism. To me, it feels. I think it has a different sort of purpose than I think most other what is called philosophy. It's closer to like a self-help book, I would say, than it is. Unless I mean like you also buy into like the metaphysical underpinnings and stuff, and a lot of the time it's connection with God and stuff.
Is it? It's God-related stuff?
I'm asking like what? Yeah, well, it depends on the Stoic. So I like what do you take like what truths of Stoicism do you?
Well, I guess
support?
so. It came into the idea of looking like if you had all of your needs met, right? So what needs do you not need for whatever reason, right? Like needing attention would be a need, but needing to eat is different than needing attention or wanting attention, right? Wanting praise from your peers and things along those lines. So it goes into that stuff, I guess.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot of stuff on the meaning of life recently, and I've kind of become convinced that probably more people should spend time reading what you're reading.
Well, I'm not reading anything. I was just,
Nice.
I want to read
Jeez.
something. Yeah.
Watching YouTube videos.
Well, no, I mean, look, it was a article that was like, I think it was called, "What if you didn't need money or attention?" Like, and it's a very simple thing. Like, let's say you wake up tomorrow. I think I've even asked you about this before, Stephen, when we've had like lunch or something. Like, let's say you wake up tomorrow, and you're like a fucking trillionaire, whatever. You have an unlimited amount of money, and whatever you want to have happen, can have happen. Like, what would you do, right? And some people, like, I think you were like, oh, I'll keep streaming. I really like this. And to me, I was thinking like, I guess the question is like, why? Why do you like it? Well, I mean, I guess you like the attention. You like people to say, oh, you're right and based and that type of shit. But there's the need for, why do people have a need for attention or appeasement of others? Why does that matter? Can you get past that, or is that just a natural human thing? Is there something else? Like, yeah, it's interesting stuff to think about, right? If quest for money isn't your goal, like, what do you do, basically?
What was my answer to that when I talked to you?
You said you would, I think.
No. Why do people need attention?
I
might not have given an answer. Okay, yeah. I feel like we're probably socially built that way. It's probably a big part of our biology. It's probably like essential to human society's functioning. Like if you had a bunch of like very independent people in a tribe a long time ago that didn't care about what everybody else thought and were like their own whatever, that tribe would probably fail, because you need like some people that feel social pressures to integrate socially in certain ways and work with the tribe and do things, right?
I mean that's fine when we're talking about sort of natural pressures and stuff, but at a certain point, we as human beings are like if we're no one can be exactly morally perfect, right? Um,
Well,
but
I want to be clear here. I'm not talking about being morally neutral in this case or morally good or anything. I'm saying like
no, I know.
if you woke up with $1 trillion, what would you do? Like the answer you get from most working class Andes, as you'd say in the
Whoa.
business, is, oh, I'd go fucking buy a sick ass house and I'd get a fucking Lambo and you
Based.
know shit like that. And it's like, okay, but what then? And then then they don't know, right? Like then they're like, oh, I'm gonna buy sick shit and show it to people. And it just seems so
I
pointless.
guess I don't understand. Like, do people legitimate like that's the first thing that their thoughts go to,
Oh,
or I
absolutely.
mean,
Yeah. That's the first thing people's thoughts go to.
like, but I mean in terms of like it would someone's like I've been thinking a lot about how our a good life is probably one that has a certain types of like a story or a narrative, right? Um, but I don't think your fundamental goals, like if you were like 35 or something, uh, just as an example, I don't think your fundamental goal should shift after you get like a ton of money.
Well, most people's goals are based on money, though. I would say almost all of them.
Or survival, we could say more broadly, right?
Yeah, sure. Or finding a mate is another big one, right? Like
Obama.
those are huge ones, right?
Well, pushing that back further, then what is like? I don't agree with the survival thing.
Wait, what do you
but-
mean? Most people just like worked and lived to survive, right?
Yes, I think I guess survival's like a necessary condition to it, but I would say it's more like trying to be happy, right?
That'd be nice, but I think for working class people, I think the trying to be
people
happy
commit
is like
suicide all the time, and
Well, poor people just want to eat, and get their rent paid. And they worry about being happiness and shit later.
feels like the
unfortunately.
happiness thing is unfortunately secondary, right?
Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. What do you know the story of Sisyphus pushing the rock?
Yeah,
and
that's
the
me and
steel?
Mr. Newton.
Sorry, I was about to give like a fucking Star Wars answer, but go ahead.
That's a tale they wouldn't tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
But,
as a quick
no, I
thing,
don't.
if you guys ever get bored, rewatch any of the prequels. They are unbelievably, unimaginably,
I really just don't want to hear. I don't.
unimaginably bad movies.
It doesn't matter. They're
I used to
fun.
think they were bad in like like LOL bad sense, but they're bad in like in like every sense. Like they're cringe. The directing is horrible. There are so many highly questionable shots where it's like two people like that are small on this hugely dead CGI background. The dialogue and writing is fucking terrible. The story is not like every part is just like so fucking trash. But anyway, sorry, cut.
I don't want to get into this, but it was good for when it was. It's fine. Anyways, yeah, look, it's just something that I've been thinking about, and I don't want to say struggling with, but been thinking a lot about over the last few months. Is like that question, right? Like if you woke up a trillionaire and you're already married, and
Dan just got $1 trillion. Now he's trying to find new purpose in life. That's what he's saying.
yeah,
guys.
well, I mean, no, just the thought exercise, like because you're supposed to discover your true calling in life, like what you want to do, right?
Yeah, that to me is just sort of not bound up with money. So,
It's
and I don't think it should ever be bound up
It's
with money.
always going to be bound with money because if
Well-
it's not,
Well, it depends on your background, right?
I mean, people got to eat, right?
Yeah, but if you're like in like a middle class or upper middle class background, that's probably not what you're thinking.
I think
right?
money can be a tool towards attaining like happiness. Or people think that. But
I think
don't
I think money is like
there.
oxygen, where you don't think about it unless you're not getting enough of it. Then it's the most important thing in the world. I think that's the issue.
You think that's true?
Yeah, I think that's true. You don't have money to pay your bills or
I don't
anything
know.
like
I
that.
feel
Like
a
it's
lot of people are really greedy.
no. I think that when it comes to like working class people, the problem is if you don't have enough money to cover your existence.
Okay.
Like lower middle class or like working class people, like it's kind of that is the only thing in life that matters, and everything in life is just geared towards being able to have enough money to like cover your shit.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's probably right.
once you get past that point, I agree people maybe are a little greedy. Although I wouldn't say greedy, I would just say that like, I would say lack of purpose is a big problem with a lot of people.
I think that money well, obviously, I think it has a very, I think you're right that people gear their lives around it, but I think that they do it as a way of sort of, like, do you think that you could be happy on, like a desert island, for example? I mean,
With no other
I think
people?
fundamentally,
Knowing what I know, and knowing what exists in the world now, no. But if I was born on the desert island, maybe.
no, I'm saying if you were, tomorrow you woke up and you had to live on this desert island, would you just kill yourself?
I would not be pleased. I don't know. I mean, I'd probably eventually kill myself. I mean, depending on what type of like, are we talking like a Gilligan's Island, one palm tree, 30 feet wide type of one, or what? Like,
Yeah, we're talking. It's like Gilligan's Island size,
I don't know.
but without anyone else.
Listen, so Rem, if you had a dog and it died, would it be morally neutral or wrong to go fuck it?
No.
Knowing, well, Rem, there's a past Rem who would not let current Rem off the fucking hook
I wouldn't even hesitate.
for giving no comment to that. Just, you would be disgusted with
All right.
yourself.
It's more. Come on, we all know it's morally neutral. Okay.
But what about what I said? There's a chance, and there's a chance. Maybe you think it's not a big one, but there's a chance that dog may be a dog ghost right now, looking down at you, fucking its corpse, and being sad as a result of that. That's a possibility.
Are you?
I'm being dead serious.
Okay.
I'm not happy. Wait, do you think there's no chance that you could come back as a ghost with all the stuff that we have and all the, I don't know. I don't know what religion like believes in ghosts or spirits and all that shit, but you think there's no chance whatsoever. You'd put it as 0%.
I would say you can't even assign a chance to it. It's like assigning a chance to the existence of God.
Exactly. Like you just don't know, right? And since you don't know, you have to.
Yeah, but I don't know a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to admit there's a possibility of what you're doing could be the case then, right?
Dan, it could also be like if you were to think this way about everything, you would live a very troubled existence.
Well, I'm not.
Oh wait, did Dan do the ghost question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry,
Well,
that was me. I'm sorry.
Because I could open my door and there could be an assassin out there who fucking stabs me in the throat.
There is.
That
Yep.
means I should just stay inside all the time.
Well, that's different.
But if I
right?
stay inside all the time, someone could slowly be like releasing a toxic gas into my.
Wait,
arm,
that's
so I
about
can-
hurting yourself. We're talking about hurting someone else. It's more along the lines
sure,
of
I can equally imagine that if
if you open your door,
open the door,
then you can knock
yeah,
someone over.
and
Yes.
and they could. So you should just never do anything. It's what you're telling me.
I'm not telling you that. I'm just saying that there's, and accept that there's a non-zero chance that by opening the door, there could be a frail child behind it.
Well, that's different than a ghost.
Okay, but you still open the door. You take that risk that you could be killing.
Yeah, and I'm happy to take that risk.
So it's not a morally neutral action to open the door. Then you've basically said
It is morally neutral.
Wait, hold on. There's a chance of killing someone. You don't want to kill someone, but there's a chance that when you open that door, you kill someone, right? Let's give it 1 billion to 1 odds. That's probably very high, right? It's probably much higher than that, 100 billion or something to that.
I mean, nothing is strictly morally neutral. It all falls on a ratio.
Exactamundo, my friend.
Yeah, but
That's
this
right.
isn't controversial. This is something that everyone knows. Obviously,
well, you're
obviously
saying
doesn't
it's
fall into
morally
three
neutral.
categories.
Well, you're saying
Me shooting someone in the face is worse than me slapping them.
Listen, I was just saying that. It seems to be there is no pure morally neutral memes that you can do. Everything, right?
I guess so. Yeah.
No, there isn't. This is it, man. We solved fucking philosophy. Just credit me in the paper when you put it out there.
Ever though?
Well, all philosophy comes down to can you fuck this dog? And I feel like we've solved that, right? And the answer is that everything, looking literally at it, is not morally neutral. So you should go to Pound Town on everything.
Why are you have you been watching too much Mr. Girl? I
No,
think oh, I think you have.
you're wrong.
How attractive do you find dogs on a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, I've talked about Dogwarts a few times, but it's more of a... Actually, I don't know if we've asked you. Let's see if we can get past Rem to answer Dogwarts. You ready, Rem? I want you to take a step back. Sit back in your chair, if you will, for a second, okay? Are you sitting back?
No.
Well, okay. I want you to imagine that in your room, in Harry Potter...
My room?
Your room. Well, it's from Boston. That's kind of how we say it. I want you to imagine in your domicile that you have a magic... In Harry Potter, you know how they have that, 3 3/4 platform?
Okay, I
That
gotta.
you run...
Uh-huh.
I need to go do. I have that Mr. Girl thing right
Just
now,
wait
so-
a few
Okay,
minutes.
Well, I got 30 seconds. Go.
Okay.
No, you should just go.
Dude, you can just wait. He's gonna make you stall for a few minutes. It'll be
He's-
fine.
They're stalling now because of me.
It'll be fine. You're always late. Anyways, inside of Dogwarts, okay, there's a dog, and you can have sex with this dog, and every time you do, you get $10,000, and no one has to know about it. The question is, will you have sex with this dog? No one knows about it. Okay, what about if it's $1 billion?
No.
Okay, but that $1 billion by you having sex with this dog that no one knows about it, and the dog consents, by the way. He's really into it.
No.
So you'll let that $1 billion, which could say, so you're...
Dude, someone's opened a portal on a wall. At that point, I need to know what the fuck's going on because the laws of nature have been just.
We haven't even gotten into dark Dogwarts yet, where the dog doesn't consent. We're just in regular Dogwarts. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna go join.
The mere existence of Dogwarts.
So you will not fuck the dog, even though that $1 billion can save an unlimited amount of starving to. Well, you're just an evil
Dogwarts
person.
presses us with more serious issues than the mere concept of capital, Dan.
I'm disappointed with you.
well.
I feel like this was easy. I mean,
Am I showing up as a
it's a bullet to bite.
You're showing.
I granted.
More
I can't change
complicated.
You're just
Hello,
wrong.
Steve.
You're wrong.
Hello, Max.
I mean, I would fuck.
Okay, I'm
the
leaving, you guys. I'm sorry. I love you.
Sorry.
Okay, I'll be back later. Bye.
Bye.
Let me.
My audio's live. Don't say
I'm gonna-
anything crazy. Okay, is that okay?
Oh yeah, mine's about to be too.
Okay.